everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to the second episode of the Who Cares Anyway podcast. I'm your host for this evening, Chris Dohmen, here with two of my good friends, Kees, Cornelisse, Ryan McLellan. And we're here for a fun one tonight, guys. Safe to say. It's going to be very good. Unlike how my day has been, because my day's been absolute shit. Well, okay, seriously, now, this has nothing to do with Schmodown, whatever, and that kind of fun stuff. Ryan, as a metalhead, you can relate to my problem I had today. So, I heard a preview for the new upcoming All That Remains album, and back in the day, I used to fucking love these guys, because I first heard them through Guitar Hero 2, and they introduced me to so much, cool, awesome metal music. And then I heard a terrible song called Stand Up off an album A War You Cannot Win from 2012. So I figured, fuck it, I'm going to torture myself and listen to that record. Because to get ready for this new record that's apparently awesome. And I had not listened to the last three records, but then there's a reason why. Now, they haven't. In fact, I want to make this perfectly clear, guys. I love metal music. And you know what? I like country music. Old school country mostly, but I still like country music. Garth Brooks, play him. I'm happy. I don't want to hear a metal album that's half country, like half traditional country, and the other half death metal. Bad idea. What? So yes. So that's why I'm in a bad mood today, because I forced myself to actually listen to all of it. I could have just turned it off, but instead I decided to torture myself. I said, "Hey, screw it. Let's listen to it and see what happens." And exactly, like it can't get any worse, right? Except it did. So, metal. Come black. Well, okay. Right now, I feel. Well, you know what? I was listening to Living Colour earlier, and they're fucking awesome. But, dude, they're so good. But no. Yeah. That's my day. That's my fucking day. How's it say? Actually, I follow Jason Richardson on Instagram, who used to be in Veil of Maya and Born of Osiris, and that dude posts some weird shit. No, but yeah. So that's my day in a nutshell. Yeah, no, never mind this Kavanaugh shit. Let's just nope, don't want to get into that. But anyway, Ryan, how has your week been, my friend? Uh-oh, we just lost Kees. He'll be back in a second. I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Pretty much. Apparently, Zach DeAdder would like us to know that he can only hear me in the chat. But hold on, now try again, Ryan.
I'm talking.
I'm talking. Well, I got some signal from you.
Cool. So yeah, no one heard what I said.
Sorry, man.
Hey, technical difficulties, we'll work through it. It's all right. But yeah, I was just saying I had a good week and took my first midterm, passed with flying colors, thank God. But it's English, so I'm good at that. I know how to speak English pretty well. So, and good writer, I think. That's what I've been told.
Well, are you though?
Okay.
I don't know. He said I did a good job.
Okay.
Apologies for that. My Yeah, my internet cut out for a second. We're live, and this can happen a little on
It's
Skype.
all good because you want
Case
to know what I'm
lips.
able to do? I'm able to just fix it right now, and bada bing, bada boom.
Nice.
We don't miss a beat. So,
Awesome.
Case lips.
What are we talking about?
Ryan was just telling.
Bro?
Yeah, Ryan was just telling me that about his week in college. But Case, has your week been as exciting as his or my torturous day?
Not really.
I say, yeah, no, you're really happy. You're really happy right now, aren't you?
Look, here's the thing. The week that was for me was just a busy week at work, and my work is boring as shit, so let's not talk about that. Let's talk about what is going to happen in about 12 hours from now. My girlfriend is coming here from the Ukraine for a week. And that's going to be awesome. So I'm very excited for that. I'm very hyped for that. I'm very looking forward to my next week, which I think should be really great. Hopefully. I assume so.
But now, here's the real question, though.
It's been great.
Here's the real question, though. Are you going to be a good boyfriend and force her against her will to be on our programs next week?
Jury's still out on that. I don't think I'll be able to join the live show. I don't think I'll be able to make her stay up that late on that day next week. So that's probably a no. But hey, she does like the Schmodown. That's essentially how we met. So maybe I'll be able to convince her to get on 1 or 2 Schmodown reactions. Other than that, yeah, some programming I will not be a part of, and that will also make sure that some stuff will not go up next week. So I'm sorry for the people who were looking forward to that. But yeah, that's just the reality of the situation.
It's all good, man. People have lives.
We do.
Hey,
yeah.
at least, and plus, to be fair, if I've said it once, I'll say it again. Fuck you. You actually have a girlfriend, so.
Fuck you. You don't.
You guys. Oh, you.
Oh, you guys. The two wild and crazy guys. Actually, I've just noticed I'm a little out of frame, so give me 2 seconds to fix that. Perfect.
Oh, jeez.
I know. I'm just fixing things.
It's like you've never done this before.
What? No.
Are we gonna make the
Engineering, motherfucker. Can you do it?
Look, guys, we're just going to skip the Patreon. Just mail money to Chris's house so he can get a better setup. Like, please, let him get, like, a big command chair with a big table in front of him, all these switches and dials and shit. That's what I want to see.
Hey, you know what? I'm okay with that.
I want him to have...
Or hell, I'll just... if someone can just, like, send me a winning lottery ticket so I can just hire an engineer, and I actually know a great one who I used to work with who would love to do it probably. But
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Anyways, movies.
Okay,
those are a thing.
Yes. A lot of movie stuff happened this week, and I'm a little disappointed in myself because there was supposed to be actually 2 reviews on this show for A Star is Born and for Venom, but my work schedule got fucked up at the last second, so no reviews. Sorry, guys. But that's not going to stop us from talking about Venom regardless, as it is the main focal point of the show, but no official review from any of us, sadly.
I will say I will see A Star is Born next week. So the next live show that I'm on, I'm definitely going to say something about that because it's getting raving reviews. So either I'm going to agree with them, or I'm going to say that I disagree with everyone because I am used to having a controversial opinion on these type of movies. So that's going to be fun either way.
Well, yeah, it's definitely going to be fun either way, and I can't wait to scream at you how you're wrong, but that's neither here nor there. But, and actually, you know what? Hold on. Before we actually get into the movie news, I do actually have something I have a question I want to ask you both. So 2 years ago, we were all in a similar situation because everybody was praising La La Land. Everybody was praising it.
Yep.
Do we think that A Star is Born could wind up being this year's La La Land, like slightly overhyped, slightly overrated, like still good, but not as great as everyone built it up to be?
Personally, not for me, because here's what La La Land did is Whiplash is one of my top 10 all-time favorite movies. So I was already going into it like, oh, it's Damien Chazelle again, and people are saying it's the best movie ever. Plus, I love Like one of my favorite actors is my favorite actress is definitely Emma Stone because I think she's gorgeous, but also she's really good. And Ryan Gosling, I think he's hilarious, and I think he just has like he kind of always plays.
Is an amazing actor.
Yeah, he kind of always plays like the same sort of character, but I don't know, he just has it, I guess you could say. If you really couldn't pinpoint one thing, he just has that on-screen presence.
He has a certain charm in every movie he's in.
A lot of people that I trusted were saying, "Oh, this is amazing! This is amazing! This is amazing!" So I let myself get overhyped. With A Star Is Born, I don't have as much of an investment. Bradley Cooper is cool, and like we had said on the last show, Lady Gaga, she did, I thought, really well with American Horror Story. So I'm interested to see this movie, but it's not like I'm out of my mind. Like I cannot wait for this, like I was with La La Land. So there's no chance of me really getting let down at all, or like being overhyped.
No, that's fair. Case
with A Star Is Born, I'm definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, it has the potential, of course, of being this year's La La Land because regardless of what you think about the actors, people involved with A Star Is Born or La La Land, both movies are getting praise early, and that shows it shows that the movie is at least good, you know? It's not going to be a bad movie. Like with La La Land, I don't hate the movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a good movie, but it's definitely overhyped and overrated compared to what I've been hearing from people. But I still think it was a good movie. It's just the moment that everyone keeps jamming down your throat that the movie is the best fucking thing ever, that it's better than the invention of the wheel, then it's better than grilled cheese or sliced bread. I don't know. It's like it's so fucking overhyped at one point that I'm like, I fucking get it. It's a movie. Get the fuck over it. We'll see how it lives up to that hype in like 20 years from now, if it's still regarded as a classic or not. You know, so
I think it will be.
With A Star Is Born, I'm looking forward to it. I'll see it. If I don't like it, it's not the end of the world. If I like it, good, yay! I like a movie that is considered popular. But can we not lose our fucking mind over it and say that it's the best invention since the fucking wheel? Because that's how these things.
Don't you know if you don't like freak the fuck out about something, you don't like it. If it's not the best thing ever, you don't like it.
No. That's the thing. If you don't absolutely love the movie, you absolutely hate the movie. There's no area in between. You absolutely hate the fucking movie. Your opinion is invalid. It doesn't count, and you will get slandered by it on the internet because you're a fucking piece of shit and you shouldn't be alive. That's how the internet works these days.
Yeah,
and here's what I say to that: fuck you, Christ.
Sometimes
we are starting hot.
I know. Cheers.
Starting hot. I love it. Okay. Yeah, no, so speaking of things that just make you say, fuck you.
Venom?
I'm seeing that tomorrow.
I'm seeing it probably Sunday. So
I'm not seeing it in the theater.
We'll do a review, Chris. We'll do a review. We'll suffer through it and review it, yeah.
Yes, we will do it. No, fuck you in the sense of people are losing their shit because of a tweet that Chris Evans put out this week where he basically said, okay, he said that this is it for him, but he didn't directly say this is it for him.
Right.
So, right now the big hashtag is thank you, Chris Evans. Hashtag thank you, Chris Evans going around. Am I the only one who thinks that he's not actually done?
I don't think he's done.
I don't know what to even think about this,
Okay.
I think that he tweeted something saying he was done with like this chapter, which is true because Avengers 4
it's the end of Phase 3.
Well, it's the end of the whole first section, the first era, I think you could probably accurately call it. Like 20 years down the road?
Let's call it the end of Season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not even that, because I think everything that's happened has been leading up to this Thanos. So, like, this is the first era of the MCU. 20 years down the road when we're on like Kang the Conqueror or something as the like huge villain, this will be the first era. Then there'll be like a second era, then a third, and then 100 years down the road when like you are in the movie yourself and it's all holographic. Like that'll be, you see what I'm saying? So it'll always this will be
this
the
will
old,
happen.
This will happen.
It will. And this will be the first era. So I think he was saying this is the end of this chapter of my life as Captain America, and it was great. It sounds like a goodbye, but I think it's a goodbye to this part. I don't think he's gone forever. I think he's just gone from this. Like now it's going to be whatever the next big villain is. There's going to have to be some sort of through line because that's how these connected. So you're going to see a teaser for Kang the Conqueror, or maybe they'll bring back Loki and he'll be the big villain in a different way. They'll recast and start all over. I don't know, but it's going to be something.
With the Disney Fox deal, next thing that I want to see is Galactus in this universe.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I mean, that's probably what most people are looking forward to after Thanos.
On the right way, yeah.
Here's the thing. Cap has had his 3 movies. To be fair, Civil War is a little bit more of an Avengers movie, but still 3 movies that he's had. And he's been around in these movies for a long time. And him, just like Iron Man, just like a couple of the other Avengers that are probably going to not appear anymore in the movies, whether they die in Avengers 4 or not, I do think that they will step away and give the screen to the young, new people, like Spidey, like Captain Marvel, the people that are promised to be the next phase of Avengers, where we don't have Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk anymore as the main Avengers. It's going to transition into this new era with the new Avengers, which have already been set up or are going to be set up with a Captain Marvel or something. That is what I think that they're going to do. So, yes, I actually do think Cap, or at least Chris Evans, Jesus, I was struggling with his name. Chris Evans as Steve Rogers / Captain America, he is probably done as that role after Avengers 4. That doesn't say that Captain America is done. And it definitely doesn't say that the Avengers are done. There will be more of that for sure. Because have you seen what the MCU has been doing in these last 10 years? It's like the most successful anything ever. It's you could argue it's even more successful than Star Wars, and we didn't think that was even possible. So it just shows how successful they are. So they're not going to stop in terms of what they're doing with their shared universe. But yes, with the original Avengers, that is coming to a halt, or to an end at least. They may have like a cameo or two, but they're not going to lead any of the upcoming movies because Iron Man has his trilogy, Thor has his trilogy, Captain America has his trilogy, so that's pretty much at an end.
And Kees, you just took my final point and you brought it home, where literally, no, that's how it's going to go. I'm pretty sure from here on is they're not done,
of course
but
not.
they're done being leads.
Yeah.
You know, they're if the studio can convince them to come back for like a whole 2 seconds for a brief cameo in something, then yeah, they'll do it, and they'll do it happily, and it'll make all of us laugh, and we'll smile, and we'll be like, ah, they're back, yay! But that's no longer what. It's no longer their story to tell. Their stories have been told. And now it's time for, just like with the old Star Trek crew, now it's time for Next Gen. And then after that will be Deep Space Nine. After that will be Voyager. And then we have a Scott Bakula show. That's actually not as bad as everyone says it is, but we're not here to talk Star Trek. I'm going to wait till we get Robert Meyer Burnett for that, but...
The only thing I would say to that is with Star Trek, the characters are completely different. So you're going to have Captain America that's not Chris Evans someday. You're going to have to regen these characters that you know and love, just like they do in the comics.
That is going to happen. That is going to happen. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, in like 50 years.
But I'm just saying, I don't even know if it'll take that long, though, because something closer to that. Because once you get through these characters that people don't know, you're going to, you can only go to the well for new characters so many times before you're doing, like, a whole movie just about Spider-Pig. And then I think you're really stretching.
Spider pig.
Yeah,
does whatever a spider pig does. Couldn't help myself. I had to. So
Yeah.
okay, but either way, if this truly is the last time that we're seeing Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, dude, thank you.
Oh,
seriously.
I would say that.
Even though, and I will tell this to your face, Cap's not my favorite character.
I agree with Chris.
Cap wasn't even my favorite character in 2 of his own films.
This is true.
But by the time we got to that 3rd film of yours, you were my favorite character in your own film. But that being said...
By the way,
sorry,
in the
Kees.
chat, Jonathan Peck asks, what do you think of the trailer of The Mule, directed by Clint Eastwood? I haven't seen it. But Zachary... Okay, seriously, this last name is Dutch, so I'm going to pronounce... The Otter. Because that's a fucking Dutch... This is a Dutch name.
Oh, it is?
I'm going to pronounce it Dutch. So he asks, do you think the rate they're pushing MCU movies out is causing them to lose a little bit of their magic? I think we should postpone that to a later part in the show when we're going to talk.
We're going to postpone it to later part in the show, but Zach, that is a great point, and we will definitely hit that up.
Yeah, that's a very good point indeed. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because it's something for later in the show.
Thank you, Kees.
Welcome.
Okay.
Also for the pronunciation.
Oh, shut your mouth.
You don't know how to pronounce your name? I know how to pronounce your name.
Pronunciation, motherfucker.
Welcome to Who Cares Anyway. Apparently we do.
Apparently. Well, speaking of a lot of yelling, we all just watched the trailer for Mortal Engines, and there was a lot of loud noises and a lot of yelling and a lot of I don't know what the fuck is going on in this movie.
No?
Does anybody? If you haven't read the book, like, that's obviously...
Yeah, and obviously I haven't read the book, but, you know...
This is the trailer. Peter Jackson, Hugo Weaving, sci-fi, stuff happening, blockbuster, go see it. That's your trailer.
That's your trailer. It's
like... Visuals. Like, okay, can we get some story points? This is the second trailer. Can we get some story points, please?
That's the thing. It looks good, and I like Hugo Weaving, and I like and I like Peter Jackson.
We're not saying in this. We're saying we like Hugo Weaving.
No. Yeah, of course. I love Hugo Weaving.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna be honest. I thought it looked kind of Hobbit-ish, so it looked kind of like ass.
Yeah.
The visuals?
Yeah, because I mean, the Hobbit visuals are pretty garbage compared to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So
yeah, I think the CGI is just kind of like smushed. Like, I don't know, it has just like a really cobbled together. Like, it didn't look super detailed or anything really interesting.
Here's the thing. I watched the trailer on my phone, and not even with the screen flip to the side. No, on a really small screen, and even on that, I could see the CGI was iffy, very iffy at times. So,
and I watched it on my big old screen here, and
yeah.
I mean, and you know what? Here's the thing. I could be wrong. I could be very much wrong, because for all I know, this could be a great film. It's a great adaptation of, from what I hear, a great book. But lately, Jackson's been on a bit of a downslide. I mean, sure, he had The Lovely Bones, which was a wonderful flick.
Well, he's actually not directing.
He had the 3 Hobbit movies.
He just wrote this one, and he's producing it. What did I tell you? I don't know. His name's like Cloyd Rivers, or I don't know. He's got a weird name.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares anyway?
Exactly.
Well, that's the point, though. It's like not even Peter Jackson. So you sell it as a Peter Jackson movie because that's the name people recognize, and it's not even actually him. He wrote it, so yeah, right. Hey, but what's his face that I can't remember his weird ass name? I love that movie, and thank you. And he directed that thing amazingly. But
I also don't
have enough time in the day to argue that one either. So.
No, let's not.
Ryan, one day, my friend, we're gonna go 12 rounds on that, and it's gonna be amazing.
I'm down.
Okay, like we just don't like this trailer. We think it's gonna suck. I'll wait on reviews. If it actually gets like good reviews, like a high Rotten Tomato score, I'll see it. But I doubt it.
75 or above, I will give it.
Yes, exactly.
And because I'm a little more forgiving, if it's 65 or above, I'll go see it and probably like it. But I'm just nervous because I want it to be...
I don't know what it's about. Tell me what it's about. Jeez.
Okay, so...
cities attacking each other. Like,
yes.
But I want to know the plot. Like, she's like, oh, this is a special one.
No. Here's the thing, Chris. Don't explain us, because you should be able to get from the trailer, especially if this is the last trailer, what this fucking thing is about. If we're not able to get that, this trailer fails.
There probably should be one more trailer.
But... Yeah, there'll be a third one.
It says final trailer.
No, it said... number 2. It's the second trailer. If you look off the actual,
it's still a 2.5 minute trailer.
No, you're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah, and you're still right. There should be some more information given, but
because I'm not getting anything of the story.
Yeah, me neither. But okay, but here's a story that I think we can get behind, and one of the greatest actors of, honestly, I'd say it right now, the past 30 years is finally getting some much due recognition. There is another story between this and Mortal Engines, but I want to save that story for last before we move into the main topic. So Denzel Washington is currently going to receive the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award for acting. Hallelujah. Dude, look.
Took long enough.
Oh my God. Like the list of just great film after great film after great film that this dude's been in, at least for some of us American folk. Even though I'll admit some of his films probably don't have a foreign appeal, but...
Oh, no, they really don't.
I wouldn't
tell you that.
So,
no. But where he makes
up... Look, here's the thing. I really have not seen a whole lot of his movies. I think I can count the amount of movies I've seen him in on one hand, which is unfortunate because I keep hearing how great he is in all these movies, and it just makes me kind of like regret that I haven't seen these movies, and I want to see him, but like he's got such a huge filmography that I don't even know where to start,
Well,
actually, but I definitely would want to see more of it.
Okay, so you know what? Actually, I'm gonna give myself a little bit of homework.
Cool.
Over the next week, I'm gonna find 10 movies of his that you need to see, and you should see if you can get yourself and Arena to watch like 2 of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what ones that you've already seen.
Okay. I definitely think Training Day should be in there.
Oh
yes.
Yeah. If you haven't seen that, that should be the very first one, because that movie is amazing.
I have seen Deja Vu, which I liked when I saw it a long time ago.
Well, and that's like that kind of segues into just contrasting those 2 movies right there. That's what's so great about Denzel is he's in all sorts of movies. Like this guy doesn't give a shit. Like if it sounds decent, he will be in it for you, and he immediately elevates that movie.
He elevates it,
yeah. So if you're like, that's kind of a lame premise, but then once you actually start watching it, like he's on Unstoppable, right? That's him and Pine.
Him and Chris Pine.
You kind of like look at that, you're like, how do you make that into a movie? But then you watch it like, oh my gosh, this movie is amazing. I love this movie. Like it's not an Academy Award quality, but he does those as well with Training Day and Fences and stuff like that. So that's what's so awesome is like that versatility where he can go from Daniel Day-Lewis to Jason Statham within, a matter of 2 movies.
Exactly.
I liked him in The Magnificent Seven. I just remember that.
Oh, yeah. He elevated it quite a bit.
He did, because that movie in and of itself would not have been as good without him.
Yes. Or, take for example his just pure range as an Oscar-winning actor. Like literally, he has portrayed a couple of the best villains I've ever seen in a film, like
Action
Training
Stars.
Day or which one?
No. That he also has portrayed a couple of action stars.
Yeah, true.
You say villains, action stars, Oscar performances. So yeah, shows.
Yeah, no, and holy crap! Whenever I watch his big scene in Edward Zic's Glory, when all the soldiers are around the campfire and they're singing their song, and then he has his like almost breakdown moment in front of Morgan Freeman. I'm just like,
Yeah. Yeah, I have to watch that actually, like in a couple of weeks for one of my classes, and I'm really excited to revisit it because I haven't seen it in too long. But yeah, so good.
Yeah, no. So, Denzel, congratulations on the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award. You are so long overdue for it, my friend. To me, you are still Malcolm X. You are still Coach Herman Boone from Remember the Titans. You are still the wonderful trumpeter in Mo Better Blues, which, seriously, like half of his works with Spike Lee alone are Oscar-worthy, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the big thing that happened this week. I really wish I had a Mandalorian helmet so I could whip it on and be like, ah!
I want the E3. I want the Boba gun.
Man, fuck that shit. I want Django's dual pistols.
Nah, see, that's how I know you're lame. All right, anyway, go ahead with the story.
Okay, so
regardless of what you think of Attack of the Clones, the sound and design of those pistols are awesome.
Oh, yes. Oh. Okay, before I fanboy too hard. So, actually, who am I kidding? I'm going to fanboy hard no matter what.
Yeah.
We're going to do that.
Exactly. Okay, so as if this upcoming Star Wars live-action series wasn't going to be awesome enough, Jon Favreau has been awesome enough to finally give us a name, which is The Mandalorian. He was awesome enough to give us the premise of the show, which is the story of a lone gunfighter in a post-Empire Outer Rim where...
7 years after Jedi, right?
It's about 5 years or so, yeah. Yeah, shortly after Return of the Jedi, so we're still in the original trilogy feel to it. But we're going to see a side of the galaxy that we never really got to spend that much time in, which is small-town Outer Rim. Like, sure, we had a little bit of that in Phantom Menace. We had a little bit of that in Attack of the Clones, and a little bit of that in New Hope.
Rebels.
I would say that, which I'm blanking on the name of the city right now, but that was a big enough city that we spent time in. We only spent like a couple extra minutes really per episode in the outskirts, but the fact that it's, this lone gunfighter in a post-Empire's, Outer Rim, and there's the First Order on the rise, but there's no New Republic, and it's this guy basically just struggling to survive.
No New Republic yet? I thought the New Republic was a thing.
Well, yeah, but they're not out in the Outer Rim yet.
No, okay.
So this story just has me more and more excited because it's essentially the Dark Tower for Star Wars. The Dark Tower done right, I might add.
I don't know what the Dark Tower is.
I was gonna kind of think of, like, it has a Western feel to it. I don't know necessarily Dark Tower, but calling it just the Mandalorian, and then he's a gunslinger or whatever you want to say, like a lone gunman, whatever type of scenario, and just the description of, Outer Rim, you think Wild West sort of thing. So I wonder how much of a Western influence feel, whatever you want to say, is going to factor into it.
And I'm going to just call it right now. It's going to be probably the main aesthetic of the show.
You think so?
Yeah.
I would love to see that, to be honest.
Because, and we had little bits of a Western feel, again, in A New Hope, in Solo, but I want a genuine Western set in the Star Wars universe. Just like how, spoiler alert for a little project that Case and I have been working on. Some of the episodes of what we're working on, like I want to have an episode that's a horror film. I want to have an episode that's, again, a Western. I want to have an episode that's a political thriller. So it's just more expansion and more trying new things with new vision in Star Wars. And thank God that Dave Filoni is also going to be awesome enough to allow some new talent to get behind the camera and direct some of these episodes. And you'd be surprised by some of these people, and one who's long overdue. And I'll get to him in a second here. So, some of these new directors that have been revealed include Rick Famuyiwa, who directed Dope, one of my favorite films of 2015, which, that movie's just so good.
It's so dope.
Yes.
Bryce
Dallas Howard, if you can believe it.
Hey, following in their father's footsteps.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's like the next Sofia Coppola or something.
And you know what? As long as she's not running around in heels, I think it'll look great. Taika Waititi. Yes.
Coming right off Ragnarok. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, he just had his kind of like Star Wars tribute just recently. So.
Absolutely. I mean, and yes, I'll admit I'm not as high on as everyone else on Thor Ragnarok. I still really like the movie, but he's still a perfect fit to do this show. And
it's like this
finally,
first opinion on Ragnarok.
Right. And finally, getting his chance to direct some fucking live action, Dave motherfucking Filoni. Yes! Sorry.
Can I get a hallelujah?
Can I get an amen? Oh, I am so happy because this is going to be Dave's gateway to finally giving us that live action Ahsoka movie or live action Clone Wars movie or live action whatever the fuck movie he wants to make.
Like,
I'm excited.
I don't know who said it, but Dave Filoni is our Lord and Savior of Star Wars. Let me show you a great fucking show that he's made. Star Wars Rebels. Another great fucking show he made is the Clone Wars. The guy knows how to do Star Wars for sure. Now, yes, his directorial debut was the Clone Wars movie in 2008, which that's not that good.
Debut.
Film debut. But since then, what he has worked on in terms of Star Wars animation has been phenomenal. He, of course, also is involved with Resistance. And I do think that, Filoni knows how to do Star Wars. He knows how to produce it, how to write it, how to create ideas for it. So I do think he can direct this. So I'm very much looking forward to the episode or episodes. I'm not sure how many episodes he does that he'll direct in this. But yeah, I do really want to see what he can do with that. Now, what I'm looking forward to in this Mandalorian, because you guys talked about stuff that we haven't seen before, I do kind of want to have it connect a little bit to what we saw in Rebels, because what we saw in Rebels, especially in the last 2 seasons, is setting up the Mandalorians as a force to be reckoned with. Bo-Katan has the Darksaber. She leads the Mandalorians. By the way, voiced by Katie Sackhoff. Will we see Katie Sackhoff in this show as Bo-Katan?
Please.
I just want that. Like, make this fucking happen, because it would make the most perfect sense in the world. If she is the leader of the Mandalorians, at least just before A New Hope, then she should be, I hope she is, by the time that this happened, or at least she gets a mention. We may get a flashback or something, because I do think it has to tie in somehow, because how Rebels ended, how that Mandalorian arc ended, is where the Mandalorians were united all together. Sabine gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan to lead them, and now we'll see if Bo-Katan actually did a good job or not. To be fair, it is in her family to lead the Mandalorians, if you saw the Clone Wars where her sister did it. So we'll see how that goes. But I do think that this is the perfect opportunity to give us a live-action Bo-Katan at least. Maybe a live-action Sabine Wren, potentially. Would that be cool?
Potentially.
Yes. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But I fucking want it.
You can wish. You can wish.
Just fucking give it to us. Like, we're families.
Even just a mention
because it would make the perfect sense. If you're talking about the Mandalorians, what was the most influential thing for the Mandalorians in the past 20 years? The reuniting of all the Mandalorians. Sabine Wren and Bo-Katan were the biggest parts of that. So at least they should get a mention at one point. So I want to see how this ties into canon, where you can tie it into the stuff that we saw in Rebels, and you can still do what you guys said, in the Outer Rim being very remote from everything else with this Western feel. That would be very cool. So I'm just very looking forward to this. That's for sure.
It's going to be awesome. And the thing is finally having a live action show that isn't a holiday special is a big thing. And I don't know, it just kind of makes so much sense.
I am reaching across my screen and I'm slapping you.
No, because the holiday special is one of the greatest things to ever happen in this world. It's hilarious.
Okay, I'm just going to grab another beer.
That was fun. I think that if you watch it and you just ignore it as being anything but hilarious, because that's exactly what it is so funny. Like you don't sit there and watch all of it.
No, of course. You don't watch the holiday special thinking it's going to be good. You watch the holiday special because of how stupid it is, and you watch it for the great cameos. Because Harvey Korman could not be any more horribly miscast.
No, you watch it for the great song at the end, sung by Leia.
Yes, exactly. And then you laugh at it because it's freaking stupid and hilarious, and it's one of the greatest things to happen to Star Wars. Anyway, if you can't laugh at your own dumb shit, then why? I don't know. Anyway,
I'm sorry, I still can't laugh from AP5 singing.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that I will. No.
It's just dumb and funny.
No, it's not funny.
It's not funny. It's just painful.
Painfully funny. Anyway, The Mandalorian. It's gonna be a show. There's gonna be all sorts of things that happen. I think most of it will probably take place in a galaxy far, far away. Not quite sure. Could be big changes.
Maybe a little bit closer to home.
It might just be in a galaxy far away, and it might just be somewhat not that far ago where it was pretty recent. Taika Waititi is what intrigues me the most. Yes, Dave Filoni, I'm happy for him. It's long and well-deserved. And I think what's interesting about him getting to direct this live action is you guys focus on, an Ahsoka movie and all that, which I want and would be awesome. I want to see what the implications are for his later years where he can maybe do stuff that isn't Star Wars as well, because
at this point I don't want an Ahsoka movie anymore.
Well, I'm just saying, whatever. You guys, someone said it. I'm just saying a movie of live actionness that is not Star Wars would be.
How could you say that?
Okay, anything of Ahsoka between her first appearance in the Clone Wars and her last appearance in Rebels, I don't want to see any of the stuff between that. After Rebels, sure, that's you can do stuff there. But Ahsoka, we got her story.
Flashbacks.
Yeah, well, you can show flashbacks, but at least make sure that movie takes place after Jedi, because her story is told in the Clone Wars, her book, her Rebels, of course, and then it ends at the end of Rebels, which is just a little bit after Return of the Jedi. So.
I don't think you'll ever see an Ahsoka movie, to be honest.
No,
I don't think
we're not going to see it.
No. But Taika Waititi, because he already has a great sense of humor and comedic timing in the films that he has directed previously. And I think I know. And he's a great actor, too. Yeah, so I'd be interested to see if he gets any acting time, screen time.
But here's a real question.
Yeah. By the way, can you imagine Taika Waititi walking up to a forest ghost, "Go away, ghost"?
No. See, here's what I want Taika Waititi to do. I want him to go up to the Mandalorian and be like, "Oh, hello, kind sir. Would you like to join me in my revolution?"
Then he just shoots him or something. But yeah, I mean, he has such a distinct visual style. Even in what we do in the shadows, just that kind of painful, awkward humor where you want to laugh but you're really not sure. And also he's just good with actors. So I want to know and from Ragnarok, whether you love it or hate it, I mean, there's some badass action scenes. If you don't love the two scenes that have Zeppelin going in the background, then you're an idiot and I don't want to talk to you. Yeah, That was the greatest thing I think of. Like when I was not expecting that at all in a movie that isn't Guardians of the Galaxy. So when it came on, I was like,
it worked so well.
Second of all,
it worked better than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
It worked better than both of them.
Anyway, the point is it was unexpected and it was amazing, and I can't wait to see when he brings it. He's probably going to put it in the show. Actually, that's another thing I want to know is who are we going to get as a composer for this show? Because that matters.
Kevin Kiner.
You think so? Because
I hope so.
I think he does well, but I would like to see more of an upscale. Like you can tell that he uses a lot of synthesizers in his stuff for the TV show. So I'd like to see a bit more of an upscale.
Kevin Kiner has done a lot and has grown a lot, I think.
Oh, he's great.
Because I started rewatching the Clone Wars with my girlfriend. She had never seen it, and I was doing a rewatch. So and I noticed the score, how he did it at the beginning, which is actually not that good. But you see how he learns. Like already through the first season, you see how he learns, how he uses different things, and how he actually manages to get a more John Williams type of feel, because that's what you're looking for with Star Wars. But he still manages to make his own thing. He has some of my favorite themes in Star Wars, with the theme of Ahsoka, where she leaves the Jedi Temple at the end of Clone Wars, and that's reused in a different form in Rebels, of course. I think that theme is great. Sabine's theme is great. He has made a lot of great themes for Star Wars that really have become my favorites. So I do think how he's learned to manage to make a Star Wars type score for these TV shows that still is its own thing and not is too copyish of John Williams. Yeah. I think he's done a great job, and I do think that will come back.
But the biggest thing is, if this is your Game of Thrones for Star Wars, you need a bigger sound.
Then get Ramen.
Not the Game of Thrones where there's stuff like that.
I'm just saying.
Price-wise, it is your Game of Thrones.
Price-wise, sure.
Sure. That's Game of Thrones. $10 million an episode. You better be using a full orchestra.
Fair enough.
He does not use a full orchestra in either of the shows. He uses a ton of synthesizers, which is fine. It sounds great for a child's show, but a child's show had better not be. And it better be a real show. I want a real show for $10 million. You had better have a full effing orchestra, because I care about scores and I care about Star Wars and I love Kevin Kiner. He's a great composer, but give the man a full orchestra. Like let him get that full sound.
They will. That is a guarantee. That's a guarantee that Lucasfilm will do.
Because
if they don't,
Ramin Djawadi, it's not that hard of a name.
Ramin Djawadi. I just said it. And look at Westworld, and look at Showtime, and look at Netflix. Like, come on, man. Like, you gotta step your game up. This is a kid show.
Ease up on the Netflix there, bud, because that's the last.
Netflix does have a lot of crap as well.
Yeah, but it depends on what show you watch. Godless, like that doesn't have synthesizers.
Well, you're right. That's all guitars.
But I'm just saying, the point is, you have to expand your horizons and do more.
I'm on your side. Okay.
If you're not with me 100,000%, then you're against me. I'm sorry, guys. I just ruined
only said these are absolutes. High five.
Honestly, it's too far away. But if I had my backpack next to me, you'd see that every day when I go to school, I have a first order patch velcroed onto my backpack.
Oh, you neo-fascist!
Right now.
Yeah, I love the Empire.
Yay for the Empire! Hail our glorious Empire!
Okay, so Jonathan Peck actually brought up a funny question, and I know he's not being serious, but actually I don't know, he might be being serious. And you know what? This could work. This could work. Imagine if Taika Waititi was Boba Fett. Hold on. Now, there's a theory going around that Boba Fett could be kind of like the Dread Pirate Roberts from Princess Bride. If that's the kind of thing that we have with Boba Fett moving forward, I'm down.
Nah. Because, like, that goes against the whole point of being Mandalorians, is, like, you take pride in your clan and all that.
To be
That all
fair,
matters.
Canon destroyed that when they made the prequels. Boba Fett is not a Mandalorian. He just wears the armor.
Yeah, I'm tracking.
He's a clone, so he's not a real Mandalorian.
I know, but he's a clone of a Mandalorian, which makes him a Mandalorian.
No. Jango Fett is not a Mandalorian either. He stole that armor.
Look, what I'm trying to get to.
Jango Fett was from Concord Dawn.
I'm gonna fact check you on that one.
Okay. Anyway, let's just look at it in a very basic, broad thing because we have other stuff to talk about. We
do. So I have two more things I just want to ask, and actually I like this idea.
Okay.
John Powell, bring him back.
Yeah. Yes.
Wait, who's that?
Approve. He does amazing work on
How to Train Your Dragon.
Thank you. Yes. Oh
hell,
my God.
Look, Kees, just shut up about hating Solo, because the score was fucking good.
Yeah.
No, the score. Are you fucking no? I fucking hated that score with every insert. It was a greatest hits of Star Wars. That score. It's fucking awful. It's terrible. Fuck that movie and fuck the score.
Haven't you seen Rogue One?
Anyway, yeah, no, fuck that score.
That score was way better than
way worse than Solo.
Hold on. So here's where you I'm in between both of you. I think there's things to love and dislike. I don't hate anything because I'm just too nice of a person.
Bullshit!
You're a fucking awful person. Fuck you.
For being done in 3 weeks, I mean, if you listen just to the one and like 24-second track, Hope, if you don't think that's amazing from Rogue One, you're dumb.
Yes, it is.
If you listen to the main adventurous theme, what?
It's good.
You don't think Hope
No.
is one of the greatest
awesome.
themes from Star Wars that you've ever heard?
It's good.
No.
I can't even talk right now. Okay.
Here's the thing. Chris is wrong, and we need to move on to the next topic before we all reach out to our screen to punch each other.
Oh my gosh, dude. Honestly, I can't even believe that you don't like it. I don't even know what to say.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just...
No. Guys, just shut up. Shut up.
You hate it, remember? We said this at the beginning of the show.
Right.
That you don't love it.
Okay.
Yeah,
and by the way, guys, if you want to see more of us acting stupid like this, we're going to be able to do that now. Because with the new show, Star Wars Resistance, dropping this Sunday on Disney XD, we're actually going to do a little recap show. Yay! So
hey, I did reviews for all of Star Wars Rebels, every single episode since season 3, where I reviewed seasons 1 and 2 in retrospect because I started with season 3. And the thing is, I wanted to review it with these guys the moment that I realized they watched Rebels as well.
But we just never got around to it. But now
we're gonna do that with Resistance.
Exactly. So, yes, there will be more, heated Star Wars conversations like this because guess what? We love to yell at each other about our wrong opinions.
The best thing about us and the worst thing about us is we agree on nothing. It's the best thing and it's the worst thing. Like, we agree for like 2 sentences, and then after those 2 sentences, we just don't agree on anything. Like, we can't even agree where Jango Fett is from. Like, that's
wrong. He is from Concord Dawn. I just looked it up. Chris was
okay.
All right. I was wrong.
All right. What do we have?
I apologize, Sai. There you go.
Whatever.
Defer to the host.
That's fine. It's fine. Look, and to be fair, like I actually only remember that just because there's an episode of Clone Wars where they actually address that. So, yeah, like which, trust me, if they hadn't, I wouldn't know that.
Wow, there's something about Star Wars you don't know.
Hey,
actually, and
not a real fan. You are not a real fan.
And can I be completely honest here?
No.
I actually don't know my canon history that well yet.
This is true. I would totally beat you in a canon.
You would. But if this were a Legends fight,
that is the other way around. Because that's where I don't know shit.
And when you guys team up, you can beat the whole world.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, we know that. That's why we do that.
You haven't proven it. So.
Okay.
What else we got?
So, Now we're here to actually get into the meat and potatoes of this discussion of this episode. So you saw Tom Hardy on the thumbnail. You saw Venom on the thumbnail.
That's bait.
That's bait. God, I fucking love Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes, you do.
And sorry, Kees, I'll never shut up about that movie because it's
I
fucking
know.
amazing.
Question.
Yes.
Real quick. I have to know, what are the other Mad Max movies you guys have seen? Chris?
I haven't seen any of the other ones.
I love Mad Max. I love Road Warrior more. Thunderdome, I'm coming around on it. Like it's fun. It has some good moments, but once you realize what Master Blaster actually is, it gets kind of offensive for me.
And it's just like pointless. Like you don't really need it. It's just you just watch Mad Max because that's like I love Mad Max the original so much, and then watch Road Warrior. For me, it's a little wacky, but it's still awesome, and it's like that classic, like everyone and their mother, like Rick and Morty, spoofed it, and just everyone kind of spoofs on it and stuff like that. But then, of course, Fury Road. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Man after my own heart. Okay, so yes, you saw Tom Hardy, and I've started noticing something. The MCU has been going straight and has been going amazingly well for 10 years now. Why hasn't anything else? Like, let's actually dive back. Let's go back 20 years ago. That's how far back I want to start this conversation. Because what is everyone else doing wrong? And the reason I want to start 20 years ago is when Marvel had their first big splash. So to paint the scene for 1998, the year beforehand, we got 3 of the worst comic book movies of all time. Movies that effectively killed the genre. We got Steel, we got Tank Girl, and we got Batman and Robin. Yeah. Those movies, by all stretches of the imagination, killed the genre of comic book movies. But 1998 came around, and we got a little R-rated horror film that had a lot of action in it, had a great lead in Wesley Snipes, Blade.
Still need to see it.
It's pretty good.
I know. I'll get to the Blade trilogy at one time.
But, speaking of, what happened? The sequel comes out. Guillermo del Toro hops in and gives us a kick-ass sequel that has, great action, a good
How did you
villain.
pronounce it? Is it Guillermo?
No, it's Guillermo.
Guillermo.
I know,
But
JT.
Guillermo.
Oh, yeah, JT, yeah, that's right. Guillermo del Toro. Okay.
By the way, first X-Men came out.
Yes, and then in 2000, we had the first X-Men. And again, it was a big box office hit. Bryan Singer, person aside, art from the artist. Let's just separate that out right now.
He made some great movies.
Just some shitty life decisions.
Art from the artist.
He started off a franchise that was going off really well. 2002. The most successful film out of a year that had a Star Wars movie, a Star Trek movie, a Lord of the Rings movie, a Harry Potter movie, and a... Hold on. What other big franchise was that year? James Bond.
James Bond.
Yes, and a James Bond movie. And
the
what comes out on top?
biggest movie was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's first film in that franchise.
Still one of my favorites.
The biggest opening weekend at that point, first movie to ever cross the 100 million mark on the first weekend. That was unprecedented.
It was. It absolutely was. But so you'll notice where I'm gonna go. Hopefully you guys will notice where I'm going with this. Now we're gonna start talking about some sequels that came out. Blade 2, 2004. Good movie. Really good movie. Again, Guillermo knocked it out of the park. Spider-Man 2. Oh my god.
Good movie.
Oh. Which I know, for some people it's starting to age. And you know what? From a visual standpoint, I get that, but what makes up for it is a solid script and solid acting all across the board.
And directing.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Yeah.
And don't forget the train sequence.
Yes. Oh, which
Like one of the most iconic comic book scenes ever, I think.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, for sure.
Period. Then we have X2,
X2.
X-Men United, which
Better
took
than
all
the
the
first one.
awesomeness of the first one, cranked it up to 11. We got the first glimpse of Wolverine on rage mode, as well as the beginning of a great love story between Jean Grey and Wolverine. And a little bit of a love triangle.
Also, as great as this movie is, this gave us X-Men Origins.
To an extent,
and we'll get there in a minute. So why couldn't any of these franchises stick the landing on the third one? X3 The Last Stand, which in concept, actually no, who am I kidding? In concept it was fucked from the get-go because it tried to combine two storylines that had no purpose combining.
No. The combination, no. But separately, those two work. Like, I really did love the idea of The Cure, just not the execution of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, if The Cure was its own separate film, please, more. I would have wanted that.
It's probably that makes like the most sense for an X-Men movie to center around, because it's such a dilemma for them, and like it creates a lot of drama and interest and intrigue. But the way you did it and just making a really dumb movie.
You had The Cure and you had Dark Phoenix, which that doesn't mesh.
No, it doesn't mesh at all. And it was the same thing with Spider-Man 3, which, Case, you and I like that film.
I love it.
I like it.
No. I will defend to my dying day that I think Spider-Man 3 is a good movie. I really like watching it, and I don't care what anyone else says. I think the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy is actually a good trilogy, and I think that third one is pretty good in and of itself. Yes, it has its flaws. Okay, I forgive it for that, because I do think it has some great moments, and this is something that the Nostalgia Critic points out in his review. No, not in his review. He has his top 11 movies that everyone hates but he likes, and I think Spider-Man 3 is number 1 or 2, because
it's, number 2.
Yeah, because he mentions a couple of moments in the movie when your jaw drops, because it's that good, actually. And it's like the Sandman, I think, is great in that movie.
Yeah, that's a good part.
There is a lot of interesting stuff going on between Spidey or Peter Parker and Mary Jane. More interesting than the other movies, in my personal opinion. Yes, I know, hot take. So I do think Spider-Man 3 is good. It's just that the rest of the world doesn't agree with me on that. Unfortunately.
Well, and I'm sort of in between, because I think Peter and MJ's relationship is at its peak best in Spider-Man 3. However, the fact that the movie tries to combine the symbiote arc, which creates Venom,
they should have cut Venom out of that.
Well, actually, I think they should have cut Harry out.
Yeah, they should have cut more stuff out. No matter how you swing it, whatever you think should stay in, it's all too much at one time, and they didn't execute it the right way. Cut out both
Harry and Venom, and just have it be about Peter trying to get revenge on Sandman.
Yeah. And then
that's what the movie should have.
Spider-Man 4 can focus on like either Harry or
well,
Venom.
actually, here
at that point, you probably could do the two of them together.
Maybe
I'm going to rephrase this, actually, because what you could do is you could have the main focus of the villain be Sandman in 3, with Harry with that first scene, like with the ring and when he throws the bombs at him.
By the way, that is a good chase scene.
That's a great chase. That could have been just in this film, when Harry's then has his dementia, his memory loss.
Yeah, and that carries over to the next one.
Exactly. So that's why I just...
That would have been an awesome cliffhanger type of... If you set it up right, you could have made a really nice cliffhanger out of that and out of Venom.
Exactly.
Both.
Exactly.
Yeah. And don't cast Topher Grace.
Well, okay.
Cast Topher Grace as the Eddie Brock, but then when you get to Venom, you really should have beefed him up.
Exactly. Beef him up and get a different actor to actually play Venom in
better
a suit.
lines,
and not the fucking CGI monstrosity.
Which was just as good as the new one, or as bad.
Okay.
Chris and I are gonna find out, boy. We gonna learn.
We gonna learn. But
God.
so, and then we also have, in my opinion, the most disappointing out of these trilogy endings, Blade 3, which has Dominic Purcell as Dracula, Howard Stark from Captain America: The First Avenger. That's Dominic Cooper. You're right.
Dominic Cooper. I was thinking, jeez.
What's Dominic Purcell from? But still.
Exactly.
That's the point. The point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you're trying to have Blade, take on Dracula, the grandfather of all vampires, and it's so boring. It's so fucking boring. Like, the action sequences, shit. The score, shit. The effects, shit. Wesley Snipes, shit. Considering he was barely in half the shots.
How can Wesley Snipes be
he was not even in half of the shots. Yeah, literally, you want to know when he actually showed up? He showed up on set to do extreme close-ups, and that was pretty much it.
Really?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, he kind of turned into a diva by the time the third one came. Well, granted, he was already a diva, but he became a super diva by the time we got to the third film in the series. And, like, you get where I'm going at. These franchises just died.
Go anywhere. Yeah, they died out.
Now, X-Men...
after.
X-Men tried to come back with X-Men Origins Wolverine. Worst mistake you could ever fucking make.
Yeah, I
don't know. X-Men did come back with X-Men First Class.
They did.
After Origins, though.
Exactly, but...
It's his point, yeah. A complete reboot. Everything new, except for one character that says 2 words.
Fuck off.
Yeah. One of the greatest
No. Fuck off is what
No, I think he just says go fuck yourself, actually.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. That's what he says.
Fine, 3 words. Wow.
Go fuck yourself. That's what I gotta say to you, Kees. But no, so yes. And then we have Days of Future Past, which is
the best X-Men movie.
Yeah, sorry. It's the best X-Men movie. I don't care what anyone says.
I don't care what anyone else says. It's the best X-Men movie.
It's the best one.
No, I don't care what you say. It is the best. Oh, it is.
It is.
It's the best. We all know it's the best. Anyway, what's next? Apocalypse.
But then we have Apocalypse, which, I like it, but it's flawed. It's flawed as
passable.
But now we have this repeating theme of it.
One, two, good,
and then the third one just crashed and burned, and I am so scared for Dark Phoenix. I'm so scared for it. Please be good this time. It's all I ask. Please.
But there's I think there is something that we haven't touched upon yet, and this is what actually was the topic of the show, that the Marvel properties before the MCU have started something that haven't gotten. Heck, you can also go look at like how the Spider-Man franchise went after Raimi stopped with Spider-Man 3, which was pretty much panned. They get The Amazing Spider-Man, which is a divisive film, and they get The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is overall considered as a garbage fucking movie. And then they gave the rights to Marvel to save our character. We have the best Marvel character, but please make sure that he is treated well in your universe, because what are they doing? The MCU, for 10 years, 20 movies now, has been going amazingly, and it's not stopping.
No.
So
that's they're the true anomaly.
Yes.
And it also seems like they're the only franchise that can actually keep going as long as they have, because look, we love Star Wars.
But it's not as successful.
But it's not as successful right now.
There is a reason that Infinity War beat that opening weekend record of The Force Awakens.
Yes. Oh, fuck, that's right, it did.
Yeah, 257 million over 247 million, yeah. It didn't beat it domestically or in worldwide numbers, but still, it got close, and it did beat the opening weekend record, and it's simply because of the popularity of the MCU right now. It also, Infinity War is so fucking great. I love it so much.
It's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
Like, holy
One
shit.
of.
It really isn't.
I'll have to see it again, but it probably will wind up in my top 50 of all time. No joke.
It's in my top 15 of all time, and
It's in my top 10.
Yeah, and I think I definitely think it's my favorite comic book movie of all time.
Oh yeah.
And that's over The Dark Knight, Deadpool, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes.
I'm so sick of people talking about. Like, I love watching The Dark Knight, but I'm sick of people talking about it. Like, people have talked it to death. You can't watch it to death because it's the same movie, but people have talked it to death at this point. Like, over talk.
Oddly enough, I'm still not sick of it.
Overanalyze.
No,
I'm not sick of the movie. I'm sick of people not shutting up about it.
Let me rephrase that. Like, I'm not sick of talking about it, which
okay.
I'm weird.
But
we know that, Chris.
But
we know that.
Your question is, what is the secret to success? Am I correct?
Yeah.
For the MCU?
Yeah.
The secret to success, every good team, every good winning team has a good coach. So you have, like, I'm going to go football because that's my favorite sport. But you have Bill Belichick, Don Shula, Bill Walsh, Vince Lombardi. So if you want to win, you have to have a good coach who can organize everything together. And that's what your director is, not your coach. No. Because your director is an artist. You need a businessman who knows the plays, who knows what's going to get butts in seats. And that's who Kevin Feige is. And maybe you could even say above him, your GM, who is Bob Iger, that dude knows what the hell he's doing too, because he's making $9 million. He knows
what he's doing with his company as Disney, but he knew to appoint Kevin Feige for that role.
And he also knew to leave Kevin Feige the fuck alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because he knew that he could have that confidence in his coach, or, I don't even know really what you can call him, because, yeah, he's billed as a producer, but he's so much more than that. I mean, he is the reason the MCU is what it is. You can point to Robert Downey Jr. started it, directed by Jon Favreau, great. But that wouldn't have happened without Kevin Feige. And Iron Man 2, whether you love it or you hate it or you think it's just okay, it doesn't matter, because after that, the movies that followed were still good. And, like, even if they have, like, a little stutter step, the next thing is, like, they're still going strong. And they still make good movies. Even if you don't like, there's no way you're going to like every single MCU movie 100%. But as long as
I hate two of them.
Right, exactly. But it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, because over 10 years, the vast majority of them for each individual person have been really, really good. And everyone that says that they don't like the MCU, their only complaint is like, oh, well, it's repetitive and it's blah, 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 blah. Well, if
it's formulaic.
Right.
That's
so
their issue.
And normally I'd have a problem with that. But this is officially why it's the greatest franchise of all time. It's a TV show.
Works. Yeah.
It is a TV show with a 2-hour episode releasing every 5 months or something.
Yeah, with new characters. Yeah.
With new exciting characters that you like.
Some that you've never heard of before.
Yeah, and I think one thing that has been said about what the MCU does probably best, they love their heroes, which really makes them focus on the main hero. So if you have a movie like Iron Man, that movie makes Iron Man shine. If you have a movie like fucking Ant-Man, I think nobody ever thought we would get fucking Ant-Man on the big screen. We got it. It like the movie loves the hero. Ant-Man shines in that movie. It is great. Guardians of the fucking Galaxy. No one ever thought that would happen. And it's arguably one of their best movies because it loves their heroes and it really makes the main character shine. Now, they have had issues with their villains, of course, but as long as you make the hero shine and you make the story easy, simple to understand for everyone, like accessible, if you put in a little bit of comedy that works well, then overall the movie will do well. Now, some movies have really nailed it in terms of comedy or in terms of like drama. Like, heck, Winter Soldier was a very different type of movie. It was a lot less comedy. Still a really good movie. But if you look at what they overall do well, they have a consistent tone. They love their heroes, which is probably the most important part in a comic book movie, that you make sure that your hero works. that your main character is at least likable, and they can make sure that the side characters also. And it's a TV show. People like the connectivity. Like, you can watch the movies on their own and be able to follow it. The only exception would probably be Infinity War. For that, you need to have seen at least 5 movies of the MCU to actually follow what's going on.
If you sit down to watch The Office, you know you're going to see a similar formula as far as the jokes go, and just like the shenanigans that surround it is what changes. Yeah, I just use The Office because that one's, like, to me, really repetitive, but still amazing. It is similar in each episode, but it's hilarious.
South Park, at least the first 10 seasons of South Park are really repetitive in terms of how their episodes run, and those episodes are only 20 minutes long. Every 20 minutes of the first 10 seasons is the same, but I still love it. And
you expect something different out of movies, so I mean, I can see the argument there. But as far as, like, the villains go too, and this is where we can get into a little bit of the DC Marvel. Everyone wants to say, "Oh, well, DC's villains are better." Oh, really?
What
about the Enchantress? What about Steppenwolf? What about Ares? What about Batman v Superman v Doomsday v Lex Luthor v, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the in the comics,
I talked about it last week. Lex Luthor in that movie is awful,
and that's my point.
Heck, so I would even say that, like, as much as I love Michael Shannon, Zod in Man of Steel is not that great of a villain.
Well, okay, well, that's your opinion, I guess.
Yeah,
I think Chris agrees with. Like, I love Man of Steel and I love Michael Shannon, but I think that Zod is by far the weakest part of that movie.
Yeah. Oh, he's far from the weakest part of the movie. I just don't like the acting.
You don't like the entire movie.
Well, yeah.
That's where we differ.
I think it's okay. I have no attachment to really anything DC except for a movie that hasn't come out yet, and that's called Martian Manhunter, and it never will. So
it never will, sadly.
No, it never will. It's not run by Kevin Feige. If the DC EU were run by Kevin Feige, we would have had a Martian Manhunter movie like 2 years ago, and it would have been fucking amazing, and it would have been directed by, like, Alexander Proyas or something, and it would have been dark and creepy and weird and amazing.
Wait,
except it would have been a little too cerebral for some people, I can imagine.
Wait, Alex Proyas, the guy who directed Gods of Egypt, probably my favorite.
And the guy who directed The Crow and Dark City, that Alex.
And iRobot, I know.
And
most recently, Gods of Egypt, and that's my favorite bad movie ever because it's so awful. I love it.
you can fuck up at least once on it. Like, everybody messes up. Everybody. George Lucas had his fair share of messes up.
Yeah, Howard the Duck, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't even direct Howard the Duck.
I don't really like Willow that much, so.
Yeah, I don't really like it either.
Okay, good. All right. So, Chris, you haven't said a whole lot because Case and I are assholes. Do you want to say something?
No. Here's the thing. You guys took my point. You were running with it. So, you want to know something? Here, let's do a little brainstorming for a second here.
Are we going to write our own Marvel movie?
No.
Are we going to conceptualize our own universe?
It's called
Sort of. See? I know you.
Here's what I want us to do before we close this out. I want us to take a few minutes and see how we can fix the other big universes, since that's what everyone's trying to do these days.
Can we just focus just on the DCE?
Yeah, can we focus on? Okay,
I want to focus. There's
correct terminology. It's the worlds of DC.
Oh,
it's not
off.
DC.
There's 3 franchises that need fixing.
Okay.
1, Star Wars. 2, the worlds of DC.
I don't like
3.
I don't like that.
Don't say X-Men. I said don't say X-Men. They're doing well. Whether you like it or not,
Wizarding World.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Because you don't have a cinematic universe yet. You have 1 movie.
You have 2.
Okay. Okay. In the case of the Wizarding World, the judgment for the Crimes of Grindelwald will be out in 2 months when that movie releases, because I do think there's potential for that movie, and I do think it could be good and could be successful. If it is, no fixing of the Wizarding World. But yeah, that first movie sucked. I hate it.
There's bad trailers to good movies all the time. So I'm not saying I love the trailers
the
or
entire DCU.
Right. I think if you focus maybe just on what was the other one you said that wasn't DCEU?
Wizarding World and Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars. Yeah, I don't. We've already talked so much.
Star Wars is only really because Solo didn't do well, but I do think at least their episodical.
Now, you guys have not been listening to Jedi Council, and
no.
Christian actually has been bringing up this point for weeks and for weeks and for weeks, and my God, is he right? There's no true head of creative at Lucasfilm. And Kathleen Kennedy sure as fuck can't be doing that. She can produce the movies because she's great at that. But she can't be telling the story. She can't be telling the narrative. Star Wars needs a Kevin Feige if we're going to have these Benioff and Weiss films, this Rian Johnson trilogy, Episode 9, and whatever episodes come after that. If we want that to be successful, guess what?
But there's really nothing to fix because they haven't actually failed yet. They stumbled. At this point, when you think about it, if you look at it in terms of all right,
right now they've fallen down.
Right. Okay. Well, but
right now they've fallen down.
Compare it to the DCEU, right, or the X-Men movies. Whether yes, you say they're doing well, but I'm talking about like when they really fucked up.
Well,
I think if you keep it to just the DCU, who has been consistently awful, that's who really needs help. Star Wars has not been consistently awful unless you're just
it's been consistently divisive.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean DCU's been consistently divisive too, and it's awful. Hey, I'll talk about.
That's the thing. Like Star Wars is more on the good side of divisive, where the movies overall, they're making a lot of money. They're being liked overall, but there's this little vocal minority that shits on the movies, who are most of them are really stupid for disliking the movies because most of them don't really have good arguments for disliking the movies. In the case of DC, it's the vocal minority that praises the movies, and that I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Have you seen this garbage fucking movie? It's not good. Shut up.
The loudest people for DCU somehow are the people that think they're all amazing. I don't know.
Yeah, and the difference is like in terms of DC, like
this is gonna keep going.
No. I wanted to say one more thing, which is. Do you know how much Justice League made in its entire run of box office?
Not a lot.
Justice League made less in its entire run than Avengers Infinity War in its opening weekend.
Yes, I saw that article.
Opening weekend. Yes. That's fucking embarrassing.
That's a failure. Star Wars is not a failure. Wizarding World has yet to become a failure.
Yeah, but here's the problem.
I would leave...
Star Wars and Wizarding World are on track to become failures.
You can't say that.
I can say that, though, because...
Based on one movie, you can't say that.
Okay, watch any interview with the actors of any of the Star Wars films in the last 4 years and ask them, and watch what happens when people would let these actors know anything about their characters. The actors would be like, oh, shit, I actually didn't know that. Prime example, Donald Gleason. He didn't know his character's... He didn't know his character's first name was Armitage.
I didn't know that. That doesn't make it a bad movie.
No. But the thing is, like in the case of Star Wars, like you should make the characters read the canon at least that is relevant to that character. So in terms of Donald, in terms of Donald Gleason, make him read the Aftermath trilogy. As awful as that trilogy is, make him read it. It sucks. I hate it.
It's good.
They're not going to ever do that, so you guys are crazy. They have people read a couple of Doctor Strange, Benedict Strange. Might as well. Fuck it. We're using our now. Benedict Strange. So there's no way they're going to have this motherfucker who is a side character read a fucking trilogy of books, and Kevin Feige is not comparable to Donald Gleason. There is two completely different things going on there. The issue with Star Wars, if you want to say they failed, fine.
If you're comparing anybody, compare Kevin Feige to Kathleen Kennedy as you properly should.
Right, and she's not doing a good job. So it has nothing to do with reading on the character.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. if you want this new regime of Star Wars to be successful, it has to now start being run like the MCU, where all these films are able to interconnect. And outside of Rogue One, they don't.
Well, they don't do it well. How about? Because you can throw throw Darth Maul in there, and that's a connection. But that's just like with the DCEU.
Seriously, the only reason they threw Darth Maul in that movie is, yay, let's have Darth Maul, because it's the only reference to the other movies.
Which, if you ask Lawrence Kasdan himself, it was a last-minute decision that both he and his son made, just so that way they could give an actual face to Crimson Dawn. And you can say what you will about the final execution of it, but that's a very telling sign of that.
I think it's panic, really, at that point.
It is.
Because they were trying to save that movie. They've been trying to save that movie like a year before that movie even released. They tried to save that movie a year before it released, and in that year they did a lot of things to make sure that movie had any kind of saving grace. So that's probably why they threw Darth Maul in there.
But no, and that's not even like. And now to go back to DCEU.
I was going to say, because I know you guys are obsessed with Star Wars, but it's really not comparable because Star Wars didn't come from a source material that was around for decades and decades and decades and has all this shit for them to draw from, like DC and Marvel. DC's older than Marvel.
Actually,
DC
Star Wars
should
does
have
that.
No, because Star Wars came from the movie Star Wars, is my point.
No,
and that's 77.
But the DC, the Worlds of DC started in 2013. The new Star Wars movies in 2015, and the new Star Wars movies essentially had legends to fall back on. This is what I'm talking about.
Comics, bro. The comics. What these
again?
Things are based off.
What did
Star Wars had comics and books.
Not since the 30s. Not since the 30s, you guys. Jeez, you guys are so
okay. Not since the 30s.
Not since the 30s.
The movie titled Star Wars. We don't call it A New Hope. The movie titled Star Wars came out in 1977 and was not based on a comic book. It had origins.
It was based on Flash Gordon.
It was based off Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And that was the 30s.
And Valerian.
And Valerian. That's true.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
Not really comparable because they're under DC anyway, and it's still $9 billion a year at the end of the day. The difference is you have the MCU, which is not under the same company as the DCEU or the Worlds of DC or the whatever the fucks. Continue.
You're so angry, Ryan. I love it.
Yes, you guys are ridiculous. Well, actually, it was based off the comic books. No, it came out at Marvel. There were Marvel comic books, and then there were Dark Horse. And then once there were Dark Horse comic books, actually Thrawn in this chapter on this page. Be like, bitch, we're talking about movies here based off of comic books.
Okay.
Star Wars movies are not based off the Star Wars comic books. Let's be real.
Yeah, but nowadays they're based off the original trilogy. Because Force Awakens is just a remake of A New Hope.
It is, shot for shot. Just like Psycho.
Oh, okay.
I love that shot.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Hold on.
Fuck you.
Can I just say,
fuck you. Fuck
hold on.
you.
This is going to be the best thing ever. Just recently, actually, it's not the best thing ever. Just recently, though, they interviewed Gus Van Sant because he just directed a movie for like the first time in forever, and they asked him why he did a shot-for-shot remake, and he's like, it was just an experiment. I just wanted to see if I could get butts in seats by making the same movie over again, just with different people. And he's like, obviously, the experiment failed. I was like, dude, that is a risky experiment. You took one of the greatest movies of all time, shot-for-shot remake, just to see if you could still get it to be popular with different actors. Like, that dude has
and you can still manage to make it suck.
Yeah, that'd be like if I tried to shoot shot-for-shot remake The Dark Knight, and they're like, hey, will people still go see The Dark Knight with someone else playing Heath Ledger's Joker, even though it's a shot-for-shot remake? It's the exact same, but different. No one would go see that. No. It would be an uproar. So, I'm sorry. I read that.
Unless it was Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Maybe,
but no. People like new stuff.
So then let's ask ourselves this. When we have Zack Snyder, who at least we thought going into this little experiment called the Worlds of DC that hey, this guy's an accredited director. He's got some films. He's had a couple stinkers, but he's got some good stuff under his belt. You know, why couldn't he be the guy to actually see us through to this then?
Because he doesn't understand these characters.
Well, and he's an artist. He's not a businessman. I don't think Kevin Feige knows the ins and outs of all the Marvel shit. He just knows how to tell a good story, but he also knows.
I do think that at least Kevin Feige has a decent understanding of what the characters are that he's making movies about. And sure, he doesn't know everything, all the ins and outs, but he at least knows the right people to hire to direct and write those movies. And that is what didn't happen with the Worlds of DC. Right. Zack Snyder just started with his take on Man of Steel, which I think is a good new take on the Superman character, which I like. That's why I like that's why I like Man of Steel. Yeah. I know, but
no, I was telling Chris this shit.
yeah.
We'll be arguing all night when it gets to end.
Here's the thing: Man of Steel is still probably their most successful movie besides Wonder Woman, and that's because it actually was a good movie. And then they made fucking BVS, which I went on a rant about last week. You know, it happened. Then we have Suicide Squad, which I like, but it's not a good movie. And then we have Justice League, which is just garbage.
Honestly, I saw perfectly sober, was paying attention, was doing my best to be invested, but I can remember almost none of Justice League. I was there and physically present, but none of it stuck in my brain because it was just like garbage. It was like eating nothing but. I
watched Justice League in IMAX. Yeah, I was not drunk. I was completely sober, completely paying attention. I watched it in IMAX 3D, and I watched it again with Irina at home because she hadn't seen it at that point. And she is kind of a defender of the Worlds of DC. She likes Batman v Superman. That's probably the movie that we're most divisive about between us. And she said that that Justice League was garbage. I think it's garbage. And really, at that point, and as still going back to my previous point where I said that Avengers: Infinity War beat their number with a fucking opening weekend, that just shows how fucking poor it's doing. The entire world of these.
No one cares about the characters anymore.
No, and you got arguably the best characters: Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, actually portrayed by good actors and decently portrayed. Actually, it's still doing crap. So I really don't know what's going on with them.
Yeah, no, because that weekend I saw Justice League, Wonder, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, so 2 of the best movies of last year and a crap movie.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Just a cherry on top.
Just the
dog shit on top.
Pretty much.
Did you end with Justice League?
No, I went and saw I saw Wonder first.
Great.
Then I did Justice League, and then I ended with 3 Billboards, and I was just like, oh.
That's a roller coaster of emotions right there.
It really was, actually, because, it was...
Did you get a good nap at Justice League so that you go...
Well, luckily it wasn't on one day, but,
Oh, but in the same weekend.
In the same weekend. It was... oh, my God. That was nuts. But, okay.
What DC needs to get right, and I don't think it'll get fixed with Aquaman or Wonder Woman 2 or whatnot. They need to get their Kevin Feige, someone who understands and respects the characters of DC, and someone who understands what kind of people to hire to write and direct those movies.
Okay, so staying on that for just 2 seconds here. So then how come it didn't work with Jeff Johns, do you think? Considering he's the guy who, kind of runs DC and knows these characters better than anybody. Because
they tried to copy the MCU. They were desperate to get someone on.
Right, it's the desperation. They didn't have any patience. They didn't get their plan in place. They were like, "Oh crap, we are not doing as well as we thought we could because believe it or not, people actually like to see some good movies. It's not like you can just say, here's all these characters you like. You'll immediately pay to go see them. No, you actually have to have a good story, a good plan. So you need to have patience. You need to plan your shit out. So there's time.
Planning your story out.
Yeah, weird how that works, right? So hopefully Aquaman is good, then hopefully Wonder Woman is good, and that gives them time to. They pushed a lot of movies back, like Green Lantern and all that, so they have time. Batman, yeah, seriously, that's
Man of
a
Steel
whirlwind.
2.
Man of Steel 2. They have time to plan all this stuff out and really get a good cohesive story, and they need to really think of like, okay, because they have good talent that's coming in for these movies, like when Joss Whedon basically helped finish up because he had his personal problems. Zack Snyder did that.
Patty Jenkins.
Right, Patty Jenkins. Well, yeah. I mean, I think Wonder Woman is passable.
I know you guys don't like it, or no. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Don't like it as much as I do, but yeah.
Right. I think it's great until the ending. So, but. They have the talent.
I only think that Wonder Woman is great for that No Man's Land scene. Other than that, it's nothing special to me. But at least it's a well-made movie.
Right.
Overall.
It's one of the better ones that they've done. And,
Suicide
Squad.
It's simply because of process of... It's simply because of process of elimination, because the rest is just not good.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Like Suicide Squad, David Ayer, the guy who wrote Training Day and wrote and directed.
David Ayer is great. I mean, have you seen Fury?
End of Watch. That movie's amazing. So
End of Watch, Fury, he knows the shit alright.
Because the studio doesn't have patience to plan out the story. So by the time the director's like, all right, well, I'll do what I can. And so he gets in there, does what he can. And then the studio's like, ooh, that's not quite what we were thinking. He's like, I don't know what you're thinking because you don't have a fucking plan. Plan this shit out. Kevin Feige, his directors, always know what he's thinking, especially the Russos, because those dudes are geniuses. But there is a plan in place. They patiently, over 10 years, have enacted it. So now,
the thing is with the DCU, they tried to rush 2 movies into production in 2016 that the MCU did, but the MCU actually had time to build that up, or had a good director who could actually because with the Avengers, they had a couple of movies before that setting up the characters so you can actually get to the Avengers, and still you can see the Avengers without having seen Thor, Captain America, the Hulk, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man. And you can still understand why these characters are together. It still makes sense because there was a plan in place and Joss Whedon knew how to direct that. And they forced it with Batman v Superman, which is why it failed. And the same thing happened with Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad was a reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy, which is something that James Gunn knew exactly how to do. David Ayer was not James Gunn. David Ayer did not understand these characters well enough, or he could not craft.
I mean, that's not a style anyway. So even if he knew the characters inside and out, it doesn't really matter because he
actually
has to be able to
the characters are probably the best part of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, to be honest,
it's just the overall story.
There are actually some good jokes in there and stuff, but it's just
the scene of everybody at the bar.
Yeah,
it's my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
it's actually it's probably in my top 15 DC moments.
I mean, are there 15 DC moments?
If you include all DC films.
No, I know.
Yeah, all DC films, but the thing is, if you take out the Dark Knight trilogy, that already becomes a lot more difficult.
Exactly. That's more what I was thinking. When people say DC, I don't think about the things that are never going to happen again. I think about the current, timeline. So you can say, I mean, that doesn't even qualify as DC because it's like its own thing. It's too amazing.
At this point, what they need to do is just reset the timeline, stop the shared universe thing. Aquaman.
They're too invested in the shit.
A trailer came out. A trailer came out today, which was 5.5 minutes, and Ryan, you said it was fucking desperate to make sure that people actually would go watch it.
I think it's a good trailer, but it's a desperate time trailer.
Yeah, it's really desperate. It's a desperate move to make people go see that movie. But Aquaman is going to fail. Wonder Woman is not going to do that well.
I don't think Aquaman is going to fail. I don't think it. The thing is, they need to reset the universe. They need to get someone on who actually understands, respects the characters, and knows which directors and writers to get on for these projects. And while you do need a team
who can actually make this come together. Because believe me, the MCU has a team. It's not just Kevin Feige, but you do need a Kevin Feige type of person who can actually make the hard decisions and run, make sure that it runs. There's a thread running through everything that everyone is following.
Okay.
And because with the MCU, you now have the Russos.
Wrap it up.
Sorry,
we're gonna start playing music like the Academy does.
Okay.
Well, so, and actually, I'll allow you both to do one last round of final thoughts.
It was like a 30-second timer.
Yeah, so something like that. I'll do something like that, and then we'll close out the show, so that way we don't go longer than we did last week, because we probably could.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We could talk for 5 hours straight. Like, I don't think any of us have a problem with that.
No, not really.
No, but probably our
But
audience
it's a simple fact of it's probably best that while we're still in a good spot at the moment, let's slow it down. And this is something I do want to pick up again. Not next week, but in probably a couple weeks as we get closer to
Once Aquaman gets closer, yeah. You guys need to see that trailer, and then we'll talk about what we think about that trailer. Because for my final thoughts, 30 seconds of final thoughts, real quick. If you watch that trailer, it's worth seeing because it shows a lot of what the tone of the movie is going to be, and there's some things I really didn't expect.
Okay, so Ryan, actually, I just mean like final thoughts on this actual conversation.
Right, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I still have 30 seconds. It doesn't matter what I say in 30 seconds. I can say anything in 30 seconds. It doesn't matter as long as I talk fast enough. You'll never know. But the point is, if Aquaman is good, they will not reset the timeline, like Kees was saying, in which case they can just bring someone on that is like a Kevin Feige, and then next thing you know, as long as you can plan out these other movies that you know are going to happen, like Green Lantern could be their Guardians-ish sort of thing that's actually good instead of Suicide Squad, and then you also have the Batman, which could be just amazing, period, because it's Batman, and he's one of the best characters from comic books ever. You just have to do it right, and you have to apparently cast a new Batman, so please do the right thing and cast someone that's actually good. And, well, I mean, I like Ben Affleck, actually, but I'm just saying, like, don't just get some random dude off the street. Like, make sure we have an actor who's invested in it, too, and actually wants to be around to be the character for a long, long time, because that's what he's going to have to be. And Ben Affleck was actually kind of old to just be coming in.
I actually don't think Ben Affleck was that bad of a choice. No, but what the Worlds of DC need to do is stop trying to do what the MCU is doing. The MCU is doing its own thing, and it's working really well because they've tried to copy Avengers with both BVS and Justice League. It completely fucking failed. They tried to copy Guardians with Suicide Squad. It completely fucking failed. They tried to do a good origin story with both Man of Steel and Wonder Woman. Guess what? That worked because you actually didn't try to copy Marvel, and you made a good standalone superhero movie, which worked. They have great characters. They need to focus on making their own great characters great, because they can definitely do that. If they can just focus on making their own characters great and not trying to bother with the MCU, because at this point you can't compete. Like, you cannot compete with the MCU. You should stop trying and focus on the great characters that DC has, because Batman is my favorite comic book character of all time. Superman is one of the most popular comic book characters of all time. Green Lantern has a lot of potential. Wonder Woman, we know it works. We've seen it very recently, actually. So there is a lot of potential that you can do. Jesus.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. There's a lot of potential with the characters that you have. Just make sure that the right people are involved, that you know what to do, and that you're not trying to copy the MCU, because you can't. Just accept your losses. Because no one is able to compete with the MCU.
No, they aren't. And the only franchise that potentially could, just like with the DCU, and this is my final point, the only one that could compete is the same franchise under the same house as Marvel. The problem is, though, just like with the DCU, they don't actually have a set plan. Now, Ryan, just shut up.
No, I'm not going to say anything.
Love you, man. But no, and that's it. Star Wars and DC have the same exact problem, where it just feels like they're announcing movies left and right, but there's no official plan to it. There's no connectivity to it. There's no organic sense of what is it? What are the themes that are bringing this story together? The MCU has been doing that since day one, and they've done it so perfectly. Like, that's why it's now objectively the greatest franchise of all time.
Yep.
Because they did what Star Wars originally did, and they've now perfected it.
Yeah.
Because you'd think by now we would stop throwing the MCU so much goddamn money, but seeing as how, sorry, Kees.
Black Panther and Infinity War. Black Panther is the highest grossing movie domestically of this year. Infinity War is the highest grossing movie worldwide of this year.
All the monies.
Need I say
Solo did crap because of Avengers and Deadpool.
Well, and I don't even want to get fucking started on that nonsense because why Disney pulled it out of December, I will never fucking know.
I will never know.
I'll never understand. Because you know what? Maybe it could have given them a little more time to patch a couple things up and make it a little bit better of a product.
Yeah, you should have.
Should have. But and that's my final point is when you plan something out correctly, you have the power to make something dangerously good. And I love the MCU. And I love DC Comics. I love DC characters. But these days, they're butchering and botching some of my favorite characters in all of fiction. Knock it off. Go back to making great stories that inspired us ourselves to want to become writers. That inspired us to want to be able to tell our own stories in these wonderful fictional universes. Is that too much to ask? Guys, thank you so much for being part of this episode of the Who Cares Anyway podcast. And don't worry, next week we'll be back with another great conversation. And because it's, coming up on Halloween, I do want to do at least 1 or 2 horror-themed episodes this month. And since Kees, if you want to take the week off next week while you're with your lady friend,
I am definitely.
That's a good week to take it off.
All right, yeah, that's the right week to take it off. Then
I'm not a next week show.
All right, and then Ryan and I will be here, and we're gonna hammer horror this out.
Oh,
heyo!
Horror movies are the only thing I like about Halloween. Halloween's
By the way,
dumb. You guys are dumb if you like Halloween. Just kidding.
I do want to say, speaking of Halloween, I've never seen the original Halloween movie.
Me neither.
But I will on Monday night. I'm actually going to see the very first Halloween in the theater for the 40th anniversary with my girlfriend, who's also never seen it, because we are curious, and I hope that this will kind of spark some kind of horror interest in me, because otherwise, I'm done.
Which, look, and I'm not gonna hype this up for you because you know what? There might be some things about it that maybe because you're not an American.
It's old.
Well, and not even that, but because you're an American or you're not American. There's a couple things that sorry. There's a couple things that happen that are part of just American culture that maybe you don't understand. But I personally think you'll still like the main story to it. So I just really hope you enjoy it. And Kees, where can the good folks find you online?
At Dutch Movie Guy on Twitter. Maybe on a Resistance recap show soon. Maybe on some Schmodown reactions soon. Definitely like tomorrow. Just look out for it because it will be up. And on Facebook, Kees Cornelisse, if you can figure out how to spell that. That was it. This was fun.
Fair enough. Ryan, where can the good people find you online?
On Twitter, at Clan McLellan. That's Clan McLellan. And sorry that I argued so much, guys. It's going to be the exact same every week for the rest of my life.
Thank you.
Okay, Ryan, I again, I want to reach across my screen and slap you for saying that, because I will always encourage you to argue. I will always encourage you to have a great conversation. And you want to know what this show was? It was a great conversation, damn it.
I think it was. I think we did a good job. I'm proud of us.
And you guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, at Skywalker Dohmen. You guys can follow Dedicated to Art on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at D2A Channel. And yeah, stay tuned for both our Schmodown reaction dropping tomorrow, as well as the Resistance recap, which originally I was going to do it on Monday for the first episode, and it would probably just be Ryan and I for that one, but I think it's only right that I give Kees 1 week to wait for him, and we'll knock out the first 2 episodes at one time.
That's a good plan.
And so, guys, we'll see you tomorrow for the Schmodown reaction, and then Ryan and I will see you next week for the live show. As always.
Hey, Schmodown reaction on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, that's right, too. Absolutely. And this is my first time doing this. But remember, when you care, you can get someone else to care. And everyone cares about something. So from all of us here, take care.
Who cares anyway?